news that just came in. The team just sent me. Trump just posted. The team is saying he's lifted the blockade. I'll read out the post now. Yep. Iran must agree that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb. The Hormuz Strait must be immediately open. No tolls for unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions. All water mines, bombs, if any, will be mines in the Strait of Hormuz will be terminated. Yep. We have removed through detonation numerous such mines with our great underwater minesweepers. Iran will complete the immediate removal and/or detonation of any mine that are left, which will not be many. Ships caught in the strait due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Say hello to your wives, husbands, parents, and families from me, your favorite president. The enriched material, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, which is buried deep underground with virtually collapsed mountains caused by a powerful B-2 bomber attack 11 months ago, sitting on top of it, will be unearthed by the US, which it is agreed is the only country along with China with the mechanical capability of doing so, in close coordination and conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the IAEA, and destroyed. No money will be exchanged until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. I will be meeting now in the Situation Room to make a final determination. Thank you for your attention.
So what you are seeing is Trump is agreeing to it sounds like the MOU that has been put out here by Iran, except with certain details here. So he's saying that unlike the MOU that came out from Iran, he's saying that Iran will not have any fees or tolls here. He's saying, number two, that America is now going to be involved in the excavation of the nuclear material. So we need to see from Iran whether or not they accept those terms. So what President Trump has done is he has declared he's accepted it, but he's declared he's accepted it given these stipulations, which have not heretofore been agreed to by Iran. So we just need to see now we know this is what President Trump will agree to. And now we have to see, will Iran agree to it? So far, Iran has not budged on those two big issues. It also hasn't budged on whether it should be given money up front. So what Trump is saying is, number one, he agrees to it so long. Let me put it this way. He's saying, I agree to it with the following caveats. Number one, Iran must not get any fees whatsoever for the shipping. Number two, Iran must allow the United States to go in on the ground safely to remove the enriched uranium. And then number three, Iran must accept here that he's going to that this is going to be the deal for going forward. He did not, as far as I heard, hear you say that this was going to be renegotiated in 30 to 60 days. Maybe that will be there, but also then
Iran replied, by the way. Iran replied. They said a final decision to open the Strait of Hormuz has not been made, but Iran will review it.
Oh, well, there you go. So again, the three issues are, number one, no fees of any kind. Number two, U.S. on the ground to remove it. And then number three, Iran does not get its money up front. So Iran wanted $24 billion, wanted it up front. And Trump is not saying that. And also, I don't hear anywhere in Trump's statement that this is all going to be renegotiated in 30 to 60 days or so forth. So I'm not seeing
He does say that but he does say that the US will remove the enriched uranium and destroy it. That's bizarre.
Well, I don't know if it is bizarre, but notice that it's a little bit, I think he's treating it like a real estate deal where I will offer you X amount for your house, but I also want these other caveats along with your house. And so that's what he's doing here, Mario. So he's giving you a list, you see what I mean, of the things that are the caveats. Now, and this is why then Iran is saying, well, no, hold on, we haven't agreed to the caveats. And now we have to wait and see, will Iran agree to any of the caveats? And as far as I can tell, there's at least 3, maybe 4 caveats in that brief statement by Trump. So I think that this is, again, part of the negotiation. The negotiation is going on. Trump is saying, this is what I will accept, which is a lot different than what Iran said it will accept. Now we have to see, will Iran accept it?
Yeah, very good point.
I think it's going to be hard to get there because these are the key issues. Okay, so it's not like you're negotiating with the house and you want the grill or you want the backyard furniture. This is like saying, I want to buy your house here, and I want you also to put on a brand new garage and a brand new roof that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So these are fairly large caveats President Trump has attached to this, his quote agreement.
Yeah, this is a very good point. It's like, he's like, hey, I'm going to open the Strait of Hormuz because we're going to destroy the enriched uranium and there won't be a toll. And Iran will be like, hold on a second. We did not agree to destroy the enriched uranium, and we never agreed to not having a toll. So this is very unusual. This is very odd.
Specifically, he said America, the United States, is going to be, he's saying, on the ground here, helping to destroy the enriched uranium, which means we have our own U.S. intel folks on the ground to do these assessments here. So this is going to be quite a thing for Iran to swallow. So just keep in mind, this would mean that if Iran agrees to this, then it does mean that we go back to the opening of the Strait of Hormuz the way it was on Feb 27. I've said that's unlikely, but that's what this would mean. And then secondarily, it would mean that Iran surrenders the nuclear material that it would not surrender on February 27th. So this would be essentially complete capitulation by Iran to America's terms. And so far, what we have seen is the opposite, that Iran wants complete capitulation by America to its terms. So I'm looking at this, I'm hearing it, and I'm not seeing yet a change. What I'm seeing is that what Trump was saying in private, they're now saying in public. That's the way I would interpret this.
Why do you think he's starting to say it in public now?
I think it's because he's trying to generate public support inside of the United States that he's not a caver. He's not accepting the L. So one of the issues with the escalation trap has been that if Trump signs on the dotted line here, that he will embrace the loss. Well, here the dotted line would be a victory. So this would be a true victory for Trump. And so this way, his supporters now can rally around it. I would expect on Fox News, they're saying, Donald Trump has solved the world. The world is, but I think that that's what I think he wants. I think he wants a enthusiasm to come from the 36% of the public that are his supporters who also support this war. That's what I think he's doing here. I don't know if he's actually going to move Iran this way, because this would be the way to do this in public, Mario. When you try to embarrass your rival into a concession, usually it produces defiance. So if I had to guess, I would guess he's being motivated by his domestic politics, and he's not thinking that this is going to move the supreme leader in Iran to just simply now suddenly abandon everything the supreme leader has said. Because the supreme leader has made statements pretty much directly contradicting everything that Trump just said.
Yeah, exactly. A final decision to open the Strait of Hormuz has not been made, but Iran will review it. But that means a final decision for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Is that what you think they mean? They need to decide
a final decision to open. I think what I'm reading in that, it's only a few words, but I'm reading that Iran is not is saying they have not agreed with what President Trump said, but they also say they will review it. So I would expect that Iran would come out, and maybe we'll see this, with the supreme leader making his own public statement. It would be released from the supreme leader, maybe, where he would say, I will accept this with the following caveats. So this is what happens in negotiations here. Each side says, I agree to buy your house, but I want these 4 things. And then the other side says, okay, I'm reviewing it. I will agree you can buy my house, but I'm scratching out these 4 things you want, and I'm adding my own 4 things I want. That is what I'm seeing going back and forth.
There's a statement here by the New York Post reporter, foreign policy reporter. She said, Trump is headed to the Situation Room now to decide whether to accept a deal with Iran that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, drop the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, and see the removal and destruction of Tehran's enriched uranium. But that is very bizarre, because Iran has said so many times this deal does not include the enriched uranium.
Well, the most bizarre part about that, Mario, is the words he's going to the Situation Room. Now, it could be read one of 2 ways. One, the Situation Room has these ultra secret communications here that it is possible there's some back channel or some direct channel communications with Iran that will be only discussed inside of the Situation Room. It's also, the Situation Room is famously where America's military operations are monitored by the president. So, for example, when Obama targeted and killed Osama bin Laden, that was all watched in real time from the Situation Room, because we have satellites and so forth. We can watch all this in real time. So so the Situation Room is a place where you would have very, very super secret diplomatic communication, but you would also have military. And I don't think you can really, what's bizarre is that if this is really just a matter of waiting for Iran's response here, why is he even going to the Situation Room? So
yeah, exactly.
Because it means there's more going on than we know. Or not. It could just be Trump being Trump. You know, you saw this over the weekend. Trump is if you wanted to actually settle the negotiation, Mario, you would have kept your mouth shut. You would not be trying to negotiate with Iran in public, because it only stiffens their backbone and makes them more defiant. The reason you negotiate in public is because you're talking to your own supporters. That's the only reason you go public, is to talk to your own supporters.
You know what's a good indicator to see if we have a deal?
What's that?
Is an escalation by Israeli bombing of Lebanon. That means the deal is about to happen. They've been escalating for a few days, but if we see extreme escalation, because they did that in the last ceasefire, and they tend to do that.
Yeah, it's famous in ceasefire efforts and civil wars that in the day before the ceasefire agreement's actually signed, it's a famous thing. You get a final round of attacks and so forth here. And so that's right. I would just also point out, in civil wars, though, you also have that same pattern where you have the escalation also corresponds with the breakdown of the agreements. So it's not a dispositive, it's not quite as dispositive, but it doesn't mean, just because there are a round of military action, that does not mean the agreement can't happen. It's I think a way to think about it is that I still think that what the big thing we need to see here is, if there's an agreement, is what the supreme leader's statement is going to look like. And that may take 24, 36 hours or 48 hours, but I don't think it's going to take a week. And I think that they would have been anticipating this. So I wouldn't be surprised if the people around the supreme leader would have already had, sort of a pre-organized set of responses. Because what President Trump is doing would be, if you were preparing for negotiations and the way lawyers do when they prepare for depositions, you would definitely have taken this possibility into account. That what Donald Trump has done here is basically said, I agree as long as you surrender to me on every term I want. Well, Iran would have taken that into account. They would have probably taken into account days, if not weeks ago.
Final quick question, Professor, is what do you give it the odds now with this announcement by Trump that we have not a long-term peace deal, because we've just spent the most of this discussion on how this does not
I don't think
lead to more instability, but some sort of MOU. How likely do you think we'll get an MOU?
Yeah. How likely we actually get an MOU? I put it at it's somewhere around 40 to 50% there'll be an MOU at all. It's not 80 to 90%. It's probably closer in my mind to 40%. And the reason there's a possibility of that, even that high, Mario, is because both sides have audiences. They want to signal that they're being somewhat reasonable. And that is with Iran. Iran is working very strongly with Russia and China and Pakistan. And they don't want the image that they're the skunk at the party that wouldn't, that would be sort of acting out of petulance. Trump is dealing with the image of a state in decline. Especially saw this with President Xi in China, and so Trump would like to have some sort of an MOU, if only to spin it as a victory. That said, I don't think it's going to be higher than 40%. That's probably the max odds you'll get a signed agreement here. And the reason is because of everything we said on the other side, which is these terms that we've just explained. What Trump has done is he's accepted the unconditional surrender of Iran, and now we have to see whether or how Iran will respond back. And I think that the most likely thing is they will come back with their own signed to say we agree as long as we get the unconditional surrender of America. That would be the most likely response here. In which case you won't really be any further to an MOU today than you were an hour ago.
Professor, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, and thank you for all the smart questions, Mario, because it really is great to always talk with you here. And so look forward to talking more.
I'm sure we will. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, absolutely. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, I'll just give you a quick recap so you're in the loop. So we have the post by Trump that me and the professor were just talking about. Essentially, he declares what he says exactly about the lifting of the blockade. He says ships caught in the straits due to amazing unprecedented blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. So the straits, that is the ships caught in the straits due to our amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process. But the way he said it, he said it in the framework of talking about the Strait of Hormuz will be open immediately with no tolls. That's something that Iran did not agree to from all the reports we've seen. They've agreed to kind of still charge a toll, but rename it to something else. And most importantly, talking about the removal of the enriched uranium. Now, Iran has made it very clear, and all reports have made it clear, this deal will not include the enriched uranium or the nuclear program. So why would Trump include it? I think he's trying to, it's more, this post is more for his audience, trying to declare a win. The MOU will likely include pretty useless language, such as Iran will never build a nuclear weapon, or Iran will never further enrich uranium, or maybe even something Iran will coordinate with the US about a process to get rid of its enriched uranium. Maybe that's the most thing Iran could offer, but that's a non-binding MOU. And probably the wording will talk about doing that at some time in the future. So Trump is trying to twist that to his audience into some sort of win. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Iran's economy is struggling to such an extent that Iran conceded even more than I would have expected, including no tolls and giving up its enriched uranium. I just don't think this is likely. So this just came in. IRIB, the Iranian news outlet, immediately calmed all the excitement. Okay, so we have another piece of information. There's no way this is true. All right, so first, IRIB said, let me save it here as well for my next interview. I'll be going live again in 20 minutes, 10 minutes, I think, guys, with you. With your IRIB, a final decision to open the Strait of Hormuz has not yet been made, but Iran will review it. Okay, and now this is where it gets funny. Reporters close to the White House say that Trump worded his post badly. He didn't actually announce the end of the naval blockade. He meant to say it will be lifted if Iran agrees to those things. Of course. So he did word it incorrectly. My team is right. So my team was saying that, Mari, that's not what he means. And that makes more sense. So yeah, he does. So the Strait of Hormuz is not open. Trump said that he will open the Strait of Hormuz if Iran agrees to terms. This doesn't mean much, to be honest. He's asking Iran to agree to removing the enriched uranium. And he's saying to Iran not to charge a fee. Things Iran did not agree to, and then he'd lift the blockade. So yeah, that post is pretty meaningless. I just don't know why he's doing it. It's very bizarre. The excitement's going to drop considerably now. Yeah, before that, we had reports that Iran is disputing the deal. They're saying the MOU is not signed. That was this morning. And they've actually asked for final changes to be made. Ghalibaf made a post that the only way with the US to get concessions is not through dialogue, but with missiles. So it's a pretty hardline, defiant tone here by Ghalibaf, saying the only way to get the US to concede anything is through missiles, through war. You've got an Iranian military commander, Mohsen Rezai. He said Iran will break the naval blockade either through negotiations or direct action or militarily. Yeah, so I just don't know. I don't know if this even leads to anything. Maybe the pessimistic members of the audience right now, you guys might be more right than than the optimistic ones. I'm optimistic, and I still am. I have been for many, many weeks. We'll see. I'm going to be going live again in a couple of minutes to continue analyzing this latest announcement. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Robert Pape. We've got an incredible lineup for you today. As always, we have the next guest is a new guest, Professor Fawaz Georges, that will be coming on in a couple of minutes to discuss the latest developments. He's a professor of international relations at the LSE International Relations Institute, the Department of International Relations at the London School of Economics. He'll be coming on in a couple of minutes. Then we have Major Andrew Fox, also first time, Major General Randy Manor, regular on the show. Been a while we haven't had him on. Then we have Aaron Mate, or Aaron Mate, regular on the show. We have then we have a recorded interview, and then we have lastly Malcolm Nance and Larry Johnson later tonight. Yep, my team just confirmed. All right, guys, I'll see you in a couple of minutes. I'll be live again. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Professor Pape. Let me know what you think of the announcement by Trump, whether you're optimistic like I am or pessimistic like I think Professor Pape. He says less than 50% likelihood we'll get an MOU. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.